Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. There's still time. The AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Tickles McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhower.
Just trying out a new nickname.
I don't know that's the best.
It just stemmed from a situation tonight with my wife. She doesn't like being tickled. Apparently, my really short beard tickles her.
Oh.
We should probably move on.
You're just finding this out now?
Oh no, she's complained about this for 20 years.
Oh, okay.
But I've just thought I'll embrace it. I'll become Tickles McCall. Anyway, moving on. It's Thanksgiving weekend and a lot for us to be thankful for. We still have a podcast after 581 episodes. I mean, who saw that coming? How has your Thanksgiving weekend been?
It's been good. Yeah, some Friday night was fun.
Do you have some pumpkin pie?
No, we're doing a family thing tomorrow. I don't know if there'll be pumpkin pie there, but...
And the good thing is, we're doing another late record, so we're starting on Thanksgiving Sunday, and we'll be going into Thanksgiving Monday by the time we finish this. Yeah, and it'll come out, of course, on the Monday. But I mean, we always do this on our Thanksgiving shows. Tell me, Zach, what are you feeling thankful for in particular this 2023 Thanksgiving?
Are we focusing on football?
Football, family, whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm thankful for my family and, relative good health. Thankful for, football. I'm thankful for the first year of the Canadian Premier League in the Lower Mainland. It's been really great to be a part of. A lot of fun.
Liked your tifo on Friday night?
The people did a good job.
Yeah. I thought it was also very fitting, your big sign that says "Welcome to the Dark Side," as I was watching the game on One Soccer when I got home, and the terrible floodlights out in Langley.
Yeah.
It was a very dark watch.
It is very dark, yeah.
That's something that needs
that's just one of the
upon.
Things. One of the things that needs to be made better. Yeah, our people did really great. Actually, I had little to no involvement with this one, which was also really nice.
It looked like a lot of work had gone into that.
It always does take a lot of time and effort and energy. And yeah, Gail and Brandon and Adrienne and Andrew did most of the work on it.
It was very, very, very striking.
Stefan also did much work on it too. But yeah, and then there's a whole bunch of other people played different roles. But yeah, it was nice. I mean,
football-wise, I'm just thankful that we still continue to get this podcast. It's still going from strength to strength. I'm always thankful as well to all our extra subscribers that subscribe to those podcasts, give donations as well, buy coffee on the website. It's all very much appreciated, and I always really appreciate kind of the chance to have a life in football over here, which back in Scotland, because so many folk cover football, it's hard to break into it unless you know people, and when you follow a small team like I do, who are going to be on national TV this coming weekend. I will be tweeting that out. You can watch the game live on YouTube. It's a European match. We're in Europe. Yes, it's the Scottish Challenge Cup, but we're playing a Welsh team that play in England. That's a long story. We'll get into that next weekend. But yeah, always thankful for that. Always thankful as well for the support up at UBC. Those guys have been tremendous, and another fun season calling the games up at UBC. Was Thursday, Friday, Saturday I called the games this weekend, and I had a snafu in the Saturday game. So the UBC women are dominant this year, and Friday night they beat UNBC, the Timberwolves, 6-0. Going on 10 because they also rattled the crossbar 4 times. Kat Toney scored a hat-trick. So the second game, because it was a back-to-back games, which they do against UNBC because they travel, was on the Saturday. And I've got to say, it was very one-sided. I might be being generous here to say that 90% of the game was played in the UNBC half. They seldom crossed the halfway line. So a goal went in the second half. And I hadn't done this on the Friday. I didn't do my what's the time, it's 5 past Timberwolves. But UBC head coach Jesse Simons does like that call. So he said, give you the chance to do that. I went, I didn't do it tonight. So I thought, I'll do it on Saturday. So the goal went in. I went, what time is it? It's 5 past UNBC. Except it was only 4-0 at the time. And I realised that shortly afterwards. And I went, I'm starting to lose count. UBC had 43 shots in that game on Saturday night. Only scored 6 times. 15 saves for the UNBC goalkeeper. So anyway, I'm thankful that I get those opportunities and all the other commentary opportunities with TSS and Altitude that come along this way. A lot to be thankful for. A lot to be thankful for in the football world and personal lives as well. I wanted to ask Vanni Sartini though, what is he feeling particularly thankful for this Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving on Monday. It's been a good season, a lot to be thankful for. Aside from now having 2 weeks off to finally rest your foot, what are you thankful for this Thanksgiving?
I'm thankful for a lot. First of all, that because outside soccer, everything is going well in my life. So that's the most important thing. And then I'm thankful for the group of people that work with me. You guys see the players, but there's a lot of people, my staff, the extended staff, the physios, the media guys, the team operation. I'm thankful for them because, it's been a challenging season because we had a lot of games, a lot of travels and everything. And it never felt heavy because of the people that are around you. So I'm thankful for them, and when I say this, I also include you guys because I talk with you every time. So I'm thankful also that you follow the team, so you can bring our words to the fans that are the guys that at the end are the real owners of the team.
Vanni Sartini there, thankful for a lot of things, thankful for being in this beautiful city and being in charge of a great team, thanking the fans, the media, everyone that covers the team as well. And it's been a very good season for the Whitecaps. We're going to get into that in this show. We'll talk about Whitecaps in this part, Whitecaps and MLS in the next part, talk CPL in part 3, and a look at the 2030 World Cup announcement in part 4, along with this episode's wavelength. Zach's shaking his head. There's a precursor.
Talk about that?
Oh, I've got some things to get off my chest, yes. No feature interview this episode, unfortunately. Don't start me on that, though. But we do have some audio sound bites and clips that we will bring you over the course of the show as well. But we're going to talk Whitecaps in this part. And you missed the show last weekend.
I did. I still haven't listened to it either.
Terrible. That's why the numbers are down.
I downloaded it. I haven't listened to it yet.
That's not the reason then. It must just be Felipe. Or all the CPL chat, which sadly I think what is maybe the case. Because we had 2 parts on CPL last week.
Felipe. Yeah, he goes to a lot of CPL. Did he talk a lot about Forge? He's a big Forge guy.
Yes, he'll be cock-a-hoop, I'm sure. I'm disappointed. Yeah. But Whitecaps, I said last week, I felt they had clinched a playoff spot with the points total that they've got. The way that just the other games, who was playing who and things like that. they could have been anywhere from 2nd to 9th. The way that things were going, they had lost the chance to get first, but they did book their playoff berth on Wednesday night. They're playoff bound for the 6th time in the MLS era. Still a couple of big questions remain though. Where will they finish in the pecking order? They've booked a top 7 spot.
Yeah.
So they've officially voided the play-in game.
Yeah.
And they're definitely in a best-of-3 series. So the only things to work out now is, will they finish 4th, 5th, 6th or 7th? Will they have 2 potential home playoff games in that best-of-3 series if it went all the way? Or will they just have the one? But they're guaranteed a home playoff berth anyway. It's been a good couple of games. Booking the playoff spot on the Wednesday, booking that top 7 spot on Saturday, Zach.
It was nice that St. Louis had, clinched top spot and rested, what was it, like 5 players?
Yeah, Santa Claus wasn't featuring.
Well, most significantly to me was Berkey, I think. But that's just probably my Bundesliga bias. But yeah, no, but it doesn't matter who St. Louis played. All that matters is that they got the result and then clinched the playoffs, and it was another memorable evening for people at BC Place. And
a disappointing crowd though, but I think understandable for a school night. It's tough. 7:37 kickoffs on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, like we've said and talking about different things before. I mean, there's all kinds of variables that you could talk about and whatever, and you could be negative about it. I think what's more important for the Whitecaps is that they will be doing all they can to get as many people into the stadium as possible for that first playoff match or those first couple playoff matches if they get high enough. I know I've been more critical in years ago. I'm now less concerned or less frustrated by those things or whatever. But yeah, I think it's not. I think the important thing is those who are there enjoyed it, and
Yes.
They continue to invite people in and continue to share the stories of how awesome it was, and that's how the community will grow, right?
Yeah,
and of course the stewards of the club telling the story and all that kind of stuff.
and coming up for a big 50th anniversary year next
Yeah,
year as well. I've got some big plans on the podcast to celebrate all of that, and on the website as well. We'll get into that in more of our December shows. But I mean, celebration times, and it's been a good season. They've had the Cascadia Cup, they've won the Canadian Championship, they've booked their spot in next year's Champions Cup. Now they're playoff bound. They've ticked a lot of the boxes that they had going into this season. But we'll get into both the games that were played this week, not in depth as such, because we've got so much other stuff to talk about. If we start off just on the Wednesday game, big 3-0 win over St. Louis City. And yeah, it was a team that was resting players, but it was a very good performance. And I know in the playoffs it's going to be a very different St. Louis side, but it wasn't a St. Louis side, even when they brought on some of the bigger guns in the second half, that I'm not necessarily that concerned if we're in a matchup with St. Louis. I would fancy us taking them a game at BC Place, and then with the nature of the best-of-3 series, you just need a 0-0 draw and you get to penalties.
Yeah, that's right. Did Brian White open the scoring in that game?
Yeah, it was a Ranko long ball over the top, and Brian just heads it away from the defender, who just basically stood still.
Yeah. Okay. So in the past, we've talked about how, not just us, other people who've been on as well, have talked about how Brian White does not, he's not the fastest striker you'll ever see.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen him show that much explosiveness before in a play, and then on top of that, I don't know if I've seen him show such a deft finish before, like just that beautiful little chip over the keeper as the keeper was running out. But it was I think it felt like one of the best goals I think I've seen him score, because it wasn't just a header, it wasn't just scraps, it wasn't just finishing off a cross. It was like, felt like one of the time, maybe the time where he showed the most skill, I think, holistically on a play to finish a chance.
Yeah, that one came in the 58th minute, and because it had been a goalless first half, not a first half though without some controversy.
Right.
So I guess we should rewind to that first. I should have probably started off by looking at that, but I just got excited talking about the goals there. Yeah, VAR came into play twice in the first half. So the first moment of controversy came in the 21st minute. Josh Yarrow, who was also the player that was standing there that had allowed White to head it off him in the second half. Not a great game for Yarrow. It looked that he had gone straight through White in the St. Louis box, sending the Cap striker crashing to the deck. Referee Pierre-Luc Lozier, who is Canadian, waved away the Whitecaps' appeals for a penalty, but was then called over for a video review. It took him over 2 minutes to review the play, and then he just decided to stick to his guns, stick to the original decision. No penalty. How did you see that one?
Yeah, that's we've talked about this before. That it's so awkward, right? When you have a referee make a call on the field, and then upstairs are like, yeah, you should look at that again. We believe it's clear and obvious that you got it wrong.
And he's like, no.
And then he looks at it, he's like, no, I'm good.
The longer it was taken, like we were debating in the press box, it's like, is it taking this long because he's also wondering if it's a red card offence? But no.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but I wonder how much. There's two things. Two questions I'm wondering if he's asking, right? Is it actually clear and obvious, which is probably an obvious question. And the other is how much how much does pride come into play with it?
Yeah,
right?
I mean we've said that before.
Yeah, like it's kind of awkward.
But I mean you've got to be 100% sure. It's a ballsy thing to then stick with it. I mean the only thing I can think of is as you look at it, I mean there is a question: did he get the ball cleanly? And then it's just the after effect of Brian falling over the leg. And I guess if you've got even just a glimmer of a question like that, it's not clear and obvious, so you can't overturn the decision on the pitch.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can look at it. But when we first saw the replay, like we were watching it going, oh, it's a clear penalty. I think it was harsh. I think it should have been a penalty. If it had been the other way, I would have said I thought it was a penalty. If Ranko had gone through Klaus or something like that, I would have said the same thing. But it is what it was. I think there is a debate whether he nicked the ball first or White's ankle. So without a definitive ankle, it was hard to overrule it. I just thought that was harsh. But then Ranko...
here's the one thing. The one thing about it is I think that it's nice that in the end it didn't destroy the result of the game. Like,
and proved very costly to the Caps' playoff chances.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. And so I think VAR is more frustrating when it changes the course of the game or directly, without a question, directly impacts the result of the game. And so, even though I hear what you're saying, like at least it didn't root it in that way.
No. It wasn't a Jurgen Klopp infuriating incident from the weekend before, which I still can't believe that. Oh, I don't know if you've seen some of the videos doing the rounds from the UK pundits debating it. Mike Dean was sticking up for the referee and saying, because everyone's like, why didn't they just stop the game? And
the one guy the young guy in the booth was yelling at them, right? Stop the game or whatever. Yeah.
And he said, oh, no, it affects the integrity of the game if you did that. It's not in the rules that you can do that. And they're like, integrity of the game? And then they just lost it with him. Yeah. And he's defending constantly. But anyway, I think the second VAR thing was the correct decision. Gauld scores. Yeah, and awesome. As you see the ball come in, it takes a touch off White. And as it takes a touch, I think it's off White, and Gauld's in an offside position as it hits the St. Louis defender, Yarrow again, and then falls to Gauld, who buries it nicely, but...
It's like a falling down sort of bicycle scissor kick.
Yeah.
Was it in the second half? Was there not also a handball in this game that was looked at? Or am I thinking of a different game?
You might be thinking of a different game. I don't remember the handball. Oh, there was one from the weekend before.
That's probably what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think for the handball. But yeah, I didn't have any issue with that when
No,
Gauld
the Gold one
was
was clear cut.
yeah.
It was yeah.
But I mean, Yarrow from those two incidents hadn't had a great first half defensively, so it was perhaps fitting that it was him that was just standing there that allowed White to head the ball past. I don't know what he was doing. It's just he just kind of stood there and let White nip in. And as you say, we haven't seen Brian show that kind of burst of speed like that. But he did well. He finished. That was his 15th of the season. You felt the Whitecaps were going to win after that. I didn't think they were really in too much trouble, but they had to wait to the 82nd minute. And what a strike from Sebastian Berhalter. Absolutely lovely finish. Set up by Ryan Gauld, his 11th assist in MLS on the year. And when you see Berhalter strike from behind the goal, it's an absolute peach. He just connects so perfectly on it, the curl on it, beat Lund, all ends up. Great finish. Up there for one of the Whitecaps goals of the season, I would say.
I agree. The finish is nice and the bend is nice. I don't know if Berkey lets that in. The positioning of the keeper is not great. He's a little too far, I think, to the left.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that again, that doesn't take anything away from Berhalter's finish. It was quite nice.
One thing I want to say about Berhalter is I think he's had a very solid season. One of those kind of like unsung, not really heroes, because he hasn't maybe stood out tons, but he's been Mr. Reliable. He's kind of taken on that mantle that used to get given to Rusty.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And the great thing about it is it's meant Rusty's minutes have been limited.
The other thing that adds, I think, to the quality of the goal from Berhalter's perspective is that it's his left foot, right? Like, and he's not left-footed. I was kind of surprised to see him even just attempt it with his left foot, and then the quality of it was kind of like wow.
At the start of the season, he had targeted he wanted to get one goal this year, so he's got two now. So he's already doing that.
Then there's the last goal.
Yeah, I was coming at that. I was going to say the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. Richie Larea gets his first goal as a Whitecap. Didn't he look happy after it, Zach? He did not look happy to hit it, but Vanni kind of alluded to maybe why. Because I asked him after the game, is that good for Richie after missing a couple of really good opportunities to get on the score sheet? And Vanni basically said, Richie's put a lot of pressure on himself. And he's felt after some of those misses, he's come in the locker room and been, it's my fault, we didn't win the game, I didn't score that. So he's really put pressure on himself to score. And it is my criticism I have of him as a player that he doesn't get as many goals as I think he should. And maybe this will help him. I think it is interesting to note, though. I hadn't really picked up on this, but they were talking about it on the pre-game show on Saturday, because I was listening to that at the start of the game on the radio as I was driving back from UBC, that Larea's never played in a system like this before in his careir. So this is a little bit of an alien setup for him. So it's taken him a little bit of getting used to it. And it's like, that's fair. I mean, he's come in, he's still getting his fitness as well. He's getting used to the turf. He's getting used to the new teammates. So it can maybe cut him a little bit of slack. Still don't think he's performed at a level that I say, let's throw a DP contract at him for next year.
Yeah. I think you're not. I think you're in the majority on that.
And I was joking to Alex Gaguruzic about this during the game. We were talking about that. And then when he scored the goal, I went, well, that might have put a little bit of dollar on his value. But it was a nice finish, and it was nice that it was set up by Sam as well.
Yeah, that was
the Canadian connection. But yeah, I need to see more from him. Just like I need to see more from Junior Hoylett to show that he's worthy of coming back next year. Don't think things are going quite as Junior had hoped here.
Speaking of things not going the way the Whitecaps would like, we skipped over aside from the clinching the playoff spot, the biggest part of the match.
I was going to save that to the end. The big disappointment, the big sour point of the night. They ran out of food in the press box. Harmee did not get fed on Wednesday night. I got there 7:15, no food left. Terrible. That was what you meant, wasn't it?
No, I was referring to the Kubas injury.
Oh. It's okay, I went and got some pulled short rib mac and cheese from downstairs. That was like cheese soup. I did not enjoy that. Billy, if you want to talk about the injury more than whether I was happy with the food or not, I guess we can. Yeah, that Kubas injury, I mean, it looked bad. And as you came off, it was hard to work out initially. Was it his shoulder? Was it his wrist? He was holding his face at one point. It was like, what exactly is wrong with him? And when it looked like it might have been wrist, we were like, oh, that's okay. It's just his wrist. Because we thought, I hope it's not a concussion. I hope it's not a shoulder injury. A wrist, at least you can play with a cast on.
Yeah.
So he's day to day, he's week to week. They're hoping he could be good to go for the LAFC game, which makes it sound it's maybe not as bad as feared, but that would be a huge blow. As good as I think Sebastian Berhalter has been when he's come in and performed in that position as cover, come off as a sub or whatever, going into the playoffs, Kubas is the guy that you just not only want, but you need there for the Whitecaps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a significant loss. Again, nothing negative about Berhalter, but I think Kubas has been one of the best signings Vancouver's had in this kind of Vanni era.
I said in last week's show, I think he's dropped off a little bit as the season's gone on, and it's probably the tiredness factor. So this might be a blessing in disguise in that regard if he can get a bit of rest. But can he keep his fitness up then at the same time? So it's like a double-edged sword in that regard. But, I mean, fingers crossed, they need him for the players. There's certain players on the team, if you're going into the postseason without Gauld, without White, without Kubas, they're your big three you're worried about. The other ones, there's good depth, there's good cover. It might need a tweak in the formation, but Vanni's liking the three at the back. And if you're playing the three at the back, you need that DM in front of it that is going to do the business, and Kubas is the man for that. He was missing in the game on Saturday as Whitecaps headed down the I-5. The Cascadia champions headed for another game in Cascadia, in Middle Cascadia. I was disappointed I couldn't get down for it because I was commentating at UBC. The way the game played out, a 0-0 draw, I was quite happy I didn't go in the end, and I have to come back after it. I mean, it wasn't a boring game. It was an exciting game, but I mean, it was nervous enough watching those last 20 minutes from the couch. I wouldn't really have liked to have been in the press box or in the stands watching that. I think the way the game played out, I know you can look at Ryan Gauld hitting the post as the Whitecaps' best chance, but they had no shots on target.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, they played well. They built up well. It was a very good point to come away with in the end.
It's one of those. I mean, like it's always that with stats, right? You can look at them in different ways. They still created chances. Like in the first half, was it Hoylett? Hoylett should have put that.
Yes.
Not even just on the net, but like in the back of the net.
There was Larea that set that one up as well.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really good run by Larea. I was worried in the early going because Leo Chu was just ragdolling Laborda out there. He was having a really tough time against him. Leo Chu is fantastic. I loved him, how he played when he was up here in the game, and he's a very good addition to that Sounders team.
Well, he's also, I think, someone that Vancouver fans have a lot to be thankful for with his sending off against his goal and then his sending off against Portland to win the Cascadia Cup.
He had a very strong game, and maybe his finishing did let him down, but I was very worried for Laborda, and then when Laborda got a card, I was even more worried. I thought it was a good move late on, because I was starting to think they need to get Laborda and Sam off. Just they're on yellows, they're getting a torrid time, they're tiring, and I thought this is the time to bring on Ryan Raposo and on the one wing, and then bring on Javane Brown on the other. That's exactly what Vanni did. So I breathed a huge sigh of relief at that. Those last 20 minutes, Seattle's going to be wondering how they didn't score.
Yeah. Well,
But we'll get into a little bit as to how they didn't score, because they forced 5 saves out of Yohei Takaoka, and they nearly won it at the death, and might be my save of the season in the end of year awards. There's still that one that he had in the Voyageurs Cup against Montreal that I think's probably going to win it for me. Very similar saves, actually, just getting down full length
to the
and
right.
turn it away at the last ditch. It was a great header by Roldan, but what a save by Takaoka. And what a game by Takaoka. I think he needed that after some of his recent performances.
Was that also, was it like at the last minute of like time added on too?
It was beyond the stoppage time. So, yeah, it was really at the death. It would have been heartbreaking to lose it at that point after such a solid defensive thing. I mean, Vanni talked afterwards, like, to a man, that defensive unit, they kept their shape, they did well, the midfielders tracked back and put in. We saw Brian White back there defending. Not always the best defending. And there was a couple of times I was like, that's why you don't want your striker. It reminded me of like Freddie Montero when he would get back in the box and try and defend. And it's like, yeah, Brian, maybe just stay out the box a little bit.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, again, there wasn't a huge amount of rotation, right? Like, it was
But there was 5 changes from Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, the Kubas one was a forced. Yeah, okay, there was. But, I don't know, they play. Maybe you have a different opinion, but it felt like they looked a little bit tired.
Yeah. They're running the Ryan Bryan show into the ground. We'll talk about them in the next part.
Yeah.
But it's understandable. But then they've got 2 weeks off now. So there is a chance to get... I believe the team's going to be off this week. It's going to give them the chance to get away for a little vacation. Aside from the Canadian players that have to travel to Japan, which I'm sure Canadian national team fans are like, oh, this is a good test against Japan. Why mid-season fly these guys to Japan? I know beggars can't be choosers with what games they get, and they do need a good test against Nations League, but it's just like, such long travel when you're just about to get into the business end of the North American season.
Oh, this is a total aside, but man, Japan's on a tear right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Japan is in like really, really good form. I hope that we can put in a performance in that game.
Yeah. Ali Ahmed didn't get the call up, and I was delighted. Sad for Ali that not getting another cap. But it's like, just keep Ali here, keep him rested.
Why do you think that is? Because his form hasn't dipped that much.
With the injury, and he's been in and out of the team, so I don't think he's been stable.
Okay.
I mean, I would have liked it if the Whitecaps just said, can you not take all our Canadians and at least leave one? So we've got somebody fresh for the LAFC game. But, I mean, Larea, of the 3, is probably the biggest worry for me, tiredness-wise, because he's the guy that's been starting more regularly.
Yeah. But, I mean, again, on the upside, at least, like, it's not like these players are all gone and the league's carrying on. Yeah,
well, there are some games next weekend, but these are make-up games. But yeah, thankfully we are off. Apparently, next year, MLS has said they will honour all international dates. Coincidence with Lionel Messi in the league going away and missing matches?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, that is the clear reason.
Yeah.
But it's about time. But that said, that's going to mean more cramming of midweek matches in because we've got the Leagues Cup shut down again.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, you can do that. And we've seen all these weather issues as well. Colorado, I don't know how many mirrors they broke or cats they run over, but geez, they have been hit with weather delays constantly.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, we just talked about a Wednesday night game that was not great for the gate. And that's not a Vancouver thing alone by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
So it's, I wonder, I guess the owners balance that all out in terms of revenue from Leagues Cup and I don't know.
Apple money. And
I was going to say, is it Apple money?
There's going to be midweek playoff games as well.
Yeah.
Like, but these best of three's going to have midweek games.
That's different, right?
Yeah. And the stadium availability for some clubs as well, with NFL and
That's true.
like us with CFL, and
Yeah.
at least there's no more concerts, I believe, this year to screw us over. But getting back to the Whitecaps' defence, and Yohei Takaoka, I think this was one of his games of the season. And I think it's fair to say he's had a little bit of an up and down season, but on the whole, he's been a good addition. We've talked about it on the show before. He's played in 32 games, 8 clean sheets. He's had some great saves. He's had some flaps. I mean, it happens with goalkeepers. I think you can maybe question some of his positioning, maybe some of his decision-making as well, where he does seem to make his mind up very early where he's going to go for crosses or whatever, and the ball doesn't always end up where he thinks it's going to go, and he's been caught out for that. But I think this was a good performance by him.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and yeah, we've talked about how his distribution, which is part of what he's known for, has also been an issue in these last couple of games. The one, I know we sort of talked about it at one game, but he has this it's more like a PR thing, but like he has this response to sometimes, you're doing it.
Yeah, just the grin.
Yeah, just this
incredulous grin.
Something happens that, shouldn't have happened or doesn't go their way or whatever. And he has this smile that is not, I think it's hard for maybe, I don't know if it's just like North American sports fans to cope with or to deal with, but I've heard a few people complain.
No, it annoys me as well. But
Oh, okay. It's not just a North American thing then.
I did ask Vanni just about Yohei's performance against Seattle and just kind of the up and down season he's had. Here's what he had to tell me. Wanted to ask about Yohei. He's had a little bit of up and down games in the last kind of couple of weeks, but I think he really earned his coin tonight, and that save in deep in stoppage time was like world class.
Yeah, it was world class. It reminded me of the save that he did against Montreal in the final, and I think he reacted very well. He had the goalkeeper is a position that where you don't do turnover, and maybe we should think about doing turnover sometimes. And probably he was in a moment of form that he wasn't at top because he played every game, and he had a period of 3-4 games, RSL, DC, Colorado, that he wasn't probably at top. But I talked with him and I say, hey, how do you feel? We are totally in confidence with you, but we need to hear from you. You wanna, if you feel well or not. And he said actually that he wanted to prove that that was just a bump in the road, and doing well. And the last 2 games, to be honest, he did very well, because the save also that he made when we were 0-0 against St. Louis was very, very good. His distribution today was top notch, and so we saw the Yohei that we saw for the first 6 months in the last 2 games.
So Yohei Takaoka, if he's hitting his best form of the season at the business end of the season, I'm here for it, because they're going to need him to come up big in the playoffs. Goalkeepers, as we know, can be very much the difference makers when it comes to these kind of playoff games. With that point, and a very good point it was as well, the Whitecaps moved up to 5th in the West, booking a home playoff game and a top 7 finish. Who could they play? Well, we'll get into some of those permutations in the next part, and we'll talk about a couple of the players and the Ryan-Brian connection. We'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Ryan Gauld, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
I'm waiting for you.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our new Artist of the Month here at AFTN for the month of October. It's an Italian band, and I mentioned this in last week's show, that we were going to have an Italian band this month, Zach, to spur Vanni on into the playoffs, touch a home for him. I can't 100% find out where they're from. I think it is the Milan area, but it's very vague online as where they're from. So we'll just say they're an Italian post-punk goth band. They're called They Die. That was a song from their debut album released in 2021. The album is called Deviant Love. That song, That Flame Goes Out. One of my favourite tracks on their album. It was one of those bands that during lockdown it came up as a recommendation on YouTube. Watched the video for that particular song that had got released in 2020. The band were just formed in 2020 and loved it. Checked out the stuff on Bandcamp. You can find all their stuff in all the usual places on Bandcamp. They are theydie1.bandcamp.com. Love the sound. It's very old school 80s goth, if you like Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, just all that sort of early 80s goth sound captured perfectly all these years later by the band. Takes me back as well to my days of going to the Edinburgh nightclub The Mission. Talked about that a little bit on the show before. We'll talk more over the month about my memories of that absolutely fantastic club. They Die would certainly fit in perfectly with everything that they had on their 3 floors of great gothic sounds. They've got a second album that came out last year as well. So for the rest of this month, we'll play a couple of songs from They Die. We've got another one to kick off part 3. That song, That Flame Goes Out. And Vanni will be hoping that the Whitecaps flame doesn't go out anytime soon and burns bright well into November. He said after the game on Wednesday night, he wants to make sure that all us media are kept busy working well into November. So that's nice of him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure as well, the flame that he particularly does not want to burn out is the Brian Ryan connection. Brian White, Ryan Gauld on an absolute tear. And the two of them have combined for 15 goals between them, as in one has set up the other 15 times this season. And I mean, the stats are tremendous. The listeners won't see this. If it was viewers, they would. But behind me, I've got my working class MVP Ryan Gauld hat.
Oh, yeah.
Put that on just now.
Looking good.
It's an interesting hat. Not a big fan of the mesh hats, I've got to say, just in general, just because the sun goes through it and burns my big bald head. But it's getting into the not sunny season, so it's perfect. So I will wear that around Vancouver as the Whitecaps try to get the Ryan Gauld for MVP votes. It's not going to happen, primarily because I think most of the North American soccer media don't care about the Whitecaps and don't watch the Whitecaps to know really how good Ryan Gauld has been this year. Because it's not just his goals and assists. Like, he's got 11 goals, 12 assists. But there's a great article on the Whitecaps site as to just exactly his other contributions when it comes to tackles and other sort of metrics and stuff as well. Since May 31st, no one in MLS has recorded more goal contributions than Ryan Gauld. He's had 22 in that time. And across all competitions, he's got 12 goals, 16 assists, and just his chemistry and his link-up play with Brian White has been phenomenal. White is on another career year, having had one with us back in 2021. He's got 15 goals and 5 assists in MLS play, 19 goals across all competitions. I think he would have been on and in with a chance for the Golden Boot if it hadn't been for the spectacular week that LAFC's Denis Bouanga had. 5 goals over 2 matches for Bouanga, finding his form that he showed at the start of the season. So he's now on 19 goals. White is on 15. White is third in the Golden Boot race with 3 other players. He's 1 behind Luciano Acosta from Cincinnati and 4 behind Buanga now. But, I mean, the Brian Ryan connection, Zach, has just been an absolute joy to watch this season.
Yeah, it's been huge. Gauld has helped White return to the form of his first half season in Vancouver, and has him, I think, again, kind of punching above his weight in a good way, in a way that you long for, in a way that you maybe to some degree expect from your players. But yeah, no, they've been a dynamic duo that is the reason why Vancouver's in the already clinched the playoff and has a chance to do damage in the playoffs.
Did you see Vanni's talking about dynamic duos? Did you see Vanni's quote about Batman and Robin from this week?
I heard about it. Yeah,
he's not a fan of Batman. Vanni, obviously a big staunch socialist, and feels that Batman is just a rich capitalist that is just using his rich money as like boys' toys and stuff. So yeah, he's not a fan of Batman and Robin. But I mean, they are a dynamic duo. I don't think you can get away from that. Their play has certainly sparked the Whitecaps. And I was curious, like I followed Ryan Gauld's career from his time in Scotland with Dundee United, and I didn't remember him kind of having this kind of connection, this kind of chemistry with another player that I've seen. So I asked him about that after the game on Wednesday night. Here's what Ryan had to tell me. When you look back at your career so far, have you had any on-pitch relationship come close to what you've got with Brian just now? The chemistry, you just seem to instinctively know where each other are.
It's it's something I like to try and do whenever I go to a place. Obviously because I like to play close to a striker, and I try and develop a relationship on the pitch with whoever I'm playing with, and I don't think any's kind of been as delivered as many results as what I've got with Brian so far. So hopefully that continues, and I've been telling him, I think he fell a couple of goals behind the Golden Boot. I know it's not the biggest deal, but I owe him a goal after that, missing that pass in the first half. So hopefully in Seattle I can get him a couple, and we can push for that for him.
What do you think's clicked then between you that's had this chemistry going?
I think we both look at the game the same way, and now after a couple of years we've played a lot of games together. We try and get as close as we can together at training and play off each other, and just kind of develop an understanding of how each other likes to play the best, what positions we like to be in, and it's just trying to kind of understand the areas we like to play in on a pitch, and kind of feed off of that a wee bit.
Interesting to hear Ryan there. They're very similar-minded players. They think about the game the same way. And it just seems instinctive now that each one knows where the other one's going to be. It doesn't always come off, as we know. When you look at the amount of times that maybe White should have finished and hasn't, or just hasn't gotten the end of a gold cross, or vice versa, those numbers could be spectacular.
Oh yeah, yeah. The way they've combined and the stats they put up are, you couldn't. I mean, you could ask for more, but you could, in one sense, you couldn't ask for more from them. Who do you think is going to win MVP?
That's a tough question.
Acosta's in the conversation, right?
Yeah, I was going to say you've got to look at Cincinnati, and I think Acosta would be the star guy from there. I mean, who else is in that? Buanga's got to be in it for his goals alone, but I mean, Mukhtar's always in the frame. He's had another good year, but I think it will go to a Cincinnati player. It's been an interesting season, and when you look back at the Whitecaps' time in MLS, I can't think of two other players that have worked so good together as Gauld and White. Hasley, Camilo had something going, but it maybe just... Sometimes it felt that they were fighting against each other for the goals as opposed to contributing to get them.
Wasn't Kenny also good with Camilo in that big 22-goal year?
Yeah. Russell Tybert was good as well that year.
But it's not to the... But
not to that extent, yeah.
Not to the ongoing, nonstop kind of nature that this relationship
The thing
has.
is now is making sure that they both stay healthy. Because
Yes.
like Gauld got a whack to the... White got a whack to the head in the Seattle game. We're like, oh no!
Yeah.
And every time you see Ryan getting a whack at the concussions that he had last year, you get a little worried as well. So this break, I think, is good. They've already clinched the spot. Yeah, the last game of the season's important, but it takes a little bit of the pressure off them. One of the other media members had said, what's with all this working class MVP stuff? And it stems from something Vanni said, I think, way back in June. Whereas you've got your big stars, your Messis, these Vela, Zlatan that come into the league, and it's like they're well known, they're flashy, your big shiny expensive cars, and you know what they're going to do. Then you've got other players that come into the league. Ryan Gauld, if you think back to other guys that's kind of lit it up, Diego Valeri in Portland.
Yeah.
Not a flashy name, not a flashy DP, did the business amazingly.
He's more in, I guess because he's like central. Like, wait, Acosta, is he Argentine?
Yeah.
So because he's from from Argentina, that it has the same kind of flair. I know I've heard and read conversations, people talking about like, yeah, if Gauld was from, Central America or South America, his hype would be bigger and his people would be more in awe of his skills. Do you think that? I mean, the Vancouver thing, I understand. Like the community is not the biggest community in the sports industry, whatever. I get that, but do you think that Gauld is hurt by the fact that he's not like from Latin America?
No, I think it's because of who he plays for.
Yeah,
you put Ryan Gauld performing at this level in any of the American teams that's got eyeballs on it, and then it gets attention. Folk just don't watch the Whitecaps. Like a lot of the MLS media, they love Vanni. They love Vanni's antics. But Western Coast team, the Eastern journalists aren't really sitting up to watch Vancouver games at 10:30. They might watch the odd highlight here or there. I mean, the Player of the Month nominations came out, and it had the short list of players. I get to vote on that. And Brian White wasn't on it, so I had him as a write-in person. And there was folk on that list that had performed worse than White had done in the month.
Oh, I believe it.
And it's like, White has scored in 4 straight games. It's that kind of stuff. It's like folk don't pay that close attention to Vancouver.
Yeah.
And like Gauld doesn't care. It's like he's just here to do his job. Just like, yeah, there might have been a time he cared about not getting into the Scotland team. He lives with that now. He doesn't like all this MVP stuff either. He's a shy, well, maybe not shy, but he's a quiet guy. He's very self-effacing. He wants to be away from the limelight.
He's a working class hero, Michael.
Yeah, and that is part of the reason for it. Like, he puts his head down and does the dirty work and doesn't expect the plaudits because that's his job. That's what he's been brought here to do. But anyway. So, I mean, that has obviously helped the Whitecaps get to where they are right now. Something else that has as well, though, has been this turnaround in away form, which has been quite incredible. Since getting their first away win of the season against LAFC in June, they've had 10 games, including that LAFC game, where they've won 4, drawn 3, and lost 3. 15 points from a possible 30, so they've taken 50% of their away points available, and they've won more than they've lost on the road. Consider that at the start of the year, or across the whole season in their 17 games, they had 4 wins, 7 draws, and 6 defeats, taking 18 points from a possible 51, which was 35% of the points available over the course of the season. But that turnaround in the last 10 games is what's got them to where they are just now. 10 away games.
Oh, yeah. And it feels like the season has been this kind of, even though there are ups and downs, it's been crescendoing for them. And it's leading up to this, hopefully, this great run in the playoffs as a grand finale. Because
like the thing is, there were some blips in that 7-game stretch, but it's understandable for so many reasons. There's the tiredness factor. There's the fact that they were going from playing in heat and humidity in Houston to 2 games in altitude. It takes a lot on your body to do that. I don't know if you can hear my dog snoring in the background, if you hear any weird noises on the podcast. She's obviously dreaming of the Brian Ryan connection and getting all excited.
Oh, I thought you fed her turkey.
No. She likes chicken.
Oh.
She's got a microchip thing. And when you register it, it says, what can you tell us about your dog? So we just put, loves chicken. So if anyone finds her, just feed her chicken. And she'll be yours forever. Much like me with chocolate digestives, if I want to do that. But anyway, back to the Whitecaps away form. I mean, it's been great. Their home form, though, is a little concerning. I kind of delved into that. This might surprise you to know the Whitecaps' home form this year is worse than last year's when they didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, that does feel strange, does it? But it doesn't. I mean,
I double checked it. I was like, oh, last year. Well, right now with 1 game to go, they've got 8 wins, 5 draws, 3 defeats. Last year, 10 wins, 3 draws, 4 defeats. So 2 less wins. We've taken at home this year 60% of the points available. And I think that is the difference as to why we're not in the top 2 just now.
Oh,
we've found a way to get points on the road, but we've dropped some bad ones at home.
Yeah, well, yeah. Earlier in the season, I can't remember which game I'm thinking of, but it was just recently it was the goalless draw against DC United, right? Like that.
Oh, 2-2 draw.
Oh, sorry, 2-2 draw. The 2 drop points against DC United, where you're just like,
and then we lost to San Jose.
Yes, that's another one.
Which could have been. I mean, after that, I was like, "Oh man, this is bad, bad, bad."
Yeah, it is. It is crazy to think that this clinching is on the back of their road form, which is great because there's a chance that their best of 3 series, they might be playing 2 games on the road.
Yeah, and if they play like they do in Seattle, as I mentioned, that would have gone to penalties last night, and then it's an absolute lottery.
And they have some good experience with that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I know a lot of folk,
some good experiences, I guess not all.
Yeah, I know a lot of folk, and I've seen the comments, they don't like that there's no extra time, the games go straight to penalties. I actually quite like it since it's a best of 3 series. I've liked how it's worked in MLS Next Pro. I think it's good. It might make for some boring games though, as teams are just hanging on. I cast my mind back to RSL beating Seattle in the playoffs, having not registered 1 shot on goal in the whole match over 120 minutes.
Yeah.
You might see some performances like that.
Absolutely. I don't like the format, but I'm open to seeing how it goes and to having my mind change. I mean, the best of 3, I just don't like in principle, but know how I feel about games going to shootouts directly. I don't like. I understand, especially in a best of 3 series, why you do that in terms of the players and all that. But yeah,
I mean, I'm being a little hypocritical because I'm against it usually as well. But yeah, I mean, the uptick in away form, it's been a good thing. So asked Vanni, Ranko, and Yohei about that after the Seattle game. Here's what they had to say about those turnaround in fortunes on the road and what they feel is behind it. Last away game of the regular season, and I just having a look over the stats there. So over the season, 37% of the points taken, but since you got that win in LA in June, those 10 games, it's a 50% record. What do you feel has attributed to that turnaround? And like a game like that tonight, these are exactly what you need to do on the road, because, I mean, in the playoffs, that would have gone to penalties tonight.
There's a lot of things that changed. The main thing was the awareness that we are a good team and we were going to play well. So we did very well in the second part of the season away. Another thing for me, the tactics. When we went back three, we never made a wrong performance on the road, more or less. And with the back three, you're more protected centrally and against team, and in games where you're not in charge of the game, like it happens when you are away, you can defend even more and better and try to counter. And that's actually what we did fantastically in the first half. Today, and that's the thing. But again, and also the quality of the team has improved a lot during the season. The guys that were at the beginning, they improved in the system and everything. The new guys, they came in to get today. They all did a good performance, in my opinion. Sam Junior and Richie, that is playing every game more or less. So that's really good. Really good. I'm very happy of the performance. I'm very happy of the results. It could have been both ways, to be honest, but I think it's fair at the end of the time.
Ranko, congratulations on another away point. Talking about the away form, since you got that first win in LA back in June, you've taken 50% of the points available on the road. You've won more than you've lost on the road. How have you seen the change in the team away from home, and what do you put that down to?
We were terrible in away games first part of the season, but that LA game meant a lot. We saw that we can take points away, and after that we also have we got new players. We talked a lot about the away games that at home. We know we're gonna take points. We're a good team, but we needed to be tougher team, to be harder to break us in away games, and to be patient for our chances. And after LFC games, we had, as you said, 50%. So it's a really good result. So as I said, it's gonna help us. We need to continue like this, because now the most important part of the season is coming.
Vanni talked about a big part of the reason that he kind of sees in the change in away form is like moving to 3 at the back from 4 at the back for a number of these games. As a central defender, how different is it for you from playing 3 at the back to 4 at the back?
Well, I think also it helped us because it gives us more stability in the central part of the field. We had some problems in the first part of the season, considering some goals from crosses. It apparently it helped us. So if we continue like this, and it helped us when we have now wingbacks who can step higher on their fullbacks and put more pressure.
In the playoffs, these are the kind of games that you're going to need to win away from home on the road. The team has had a big turnaround in how well they've played on the road. In the last 10 games, you've won more on the road than you've lost. Watching that all play out in front of you as the goalkeeper, what difference have you seen in the team in the last 10 games to maybe the team that started the season in these away from home games?
You can see we played with confidence, and I think the better than the start of the season. And it was tough game, 7 games in a row in away games. So we played be patient, smart, and hardworking, and that's why we got point with struggle. We got points, so we played very well.
Vanni Sartini, Ranko Veselinovic, Yohei Takaoka, talking about the uptick in the Whitecaps away form in these last 10 road games. And Vanni puts a lot of it down to moving to a back three. He just feels it's really that with the wing backs and the way that everyone's defending as a unit when they come back has really helped this team turn things around a little bit. And I know when we had added Larea and Adekugbe, I think you had said, oh, does that mean they're going to a back four? And I was like, no. It's like three with wing backs.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working.
So Vanni says it's the coaching that's got them.
Partly. Formation. Yes.
I'm just joking.
The coach did say that, yes.
But that is an interesting element in it because wasn't it earlier in the season where the back three wasn't working? That's why they switched away from it.
Yep.
So and then coming back,
maybe just personnel, just some chemistry. Like Wednesday night. I mean, he's been a little bit maligned over the course of the year. Javane Brown. I thought against St. Louis, Javane Brown had one of his best games of the season.
It seems like
excellent Wednesday.
It seems like that. It seems like his season he's been one of the top performers on the pitch, or he's been like one of the worst. So he's been like a goat either way, right?
Yeah. I like Laborda's had a bit of an up and down season as well.
Yes,
Blackman still looks tired, so hopefully this 2 weeks is going to give him the rest that he needs. And Ranko's just been a beast this season. If it wasn't for like Ryan and Brian's performance at the other end of the pitch, I mean, Ranko's in Player of the Year consideration for the Whitecaps, I would say.
Yeah, consideration, but again, you can't look past.
Oh no! Like he'd be my third choice in 3-2-1 voting.
Yeah, okay.
But they've got to keep this going now. They've got to use this 2 weeks as a chance to get everyone healthy, rested up, ready to go. There's one more regular season game to go. We'll just kind of round off this part by looking at the playoff picture in the East and the West. So Whitecaps can't finish any higher than 4th, but they could finish anywhere from 4th to 7th. If they beat LAFC and Houston drop any points at all at Portland, so a draw or a defeat, then the Whitecaps could overtake Houston. Well, they would overtake Houston for definite, but they still might not finish 4th because RSL and Dallas both have 2 games left. Weirdly, both against the same teams. RSL have Galaxy away next Saturday, and then they're away to Colorado. So you expect at least 3 points from the Colorado game, but it is a Rocky Mountain derby and all that stuff. So last game of the season, pride in the line. You never know. Dallas have Colorado away in the make-up game for the postponement next weekend, and then they're away to the Galaxy as well. So interesting. Both teams have 2 away games to round off their season. RSL could still pip the Whitecaps to 4th, even if we beat LAFC next week. If that happened...
RSL just lost to your boy.
Oh, that was an interesting game, though.
That was a crazy game.
Yeah. Johnny Russell
getting
the goal again.
Second or third minute sending off.
Yeah, Justin Glad. Yeah, they went feeling glad all over after that, I tell you.
And then they had 2 nice strikes at the end.
It was a good comeback to make it interesting. Because when it was 3-0, I was like, oh, that's it. And then I saw the final score and I was like, what?
Yeah, but it was crazy.
I tell you what, like, if the Whitecaps can beat LAFC, they'll be 4th or 5th. And there's a good chance that is a playoff best of 3 series against RSL. I take that. I fancy that.
Yeah, I think RSL is a team you think you can beat over 3 games. But
Houston,
again,
I think we could as well if we had 2 home games. Bit concerned if it was 2 away games.
Yeah, that's fair. That's U.S. Open Cup champion Houston Dynamo, right?
Yes. I was happy about that.
So you and I haven't really talked about that.
No, yeah, I was pleased about that.
Yeah, I think some people
I've been pleased with a few of the recent Miami results, I've got to say. We'll come to that when we do our Eastern roundup. But
Yeah.
We could be
RSL,
looking at...
the one thing with RSL is you can't take them lightly, though.
No. I mean, they have a record of doing it in the playoffs.
Yes, very much
But,
so.
I mean, fantasy booking things here, but Whitecaps RSL in the first round, potentially St. Louis then in the next round. I fancy that as a chance, at least. I know we haven't seen the full St. Louis, but right now, with the form that LAFC are in, and I know it's crazy that I'm saying if we can then beat them in the last game, like Buanga's banging the goals in, I want to avoid LAFC for as much as possible in the playoffs.
Yeah.
No one else really holds a lot of fear for me right now.
Yeah, even Seattle. I know.
Seattle,
Seattle
if
feels
you can
like
play to a 0-0 draw, go to penalties, and then win the game here. There we go. Job done.
I might be wrong about them, but it still feels like they're gonna hit the playoffs and then go into another gear.
Yeah. I mean,
Like they have all these wily old players.
Yeah, last night they should have put a couple on the board. They could have easily won that game 2 or 3.
They didn't even. Am I right? They didn't even bring the Colombian on, right?
No, yeah,
I was a little surprised. No Colombian to stir things up and put on a new brew and and wake up the team and score.
I mean, in some ways, it would be nice to get Seattle at some point in the playoffs, just because the fans for both teams can make the trip. Because I think for any playoff game, you want away fans there, and I mean this for everyone. I'd love away fans at BC Place. It just has that atmosphere that you should have for these kind of games.
Oh, totally.
So, I mean, you'll get a handful of travelling Whitecaps fans to some of these away games. I mean, Portland are still in with a shout. Minnesota and KC could still make it in. It's unlikely. Minnesota feel it's very unlikely because they've already sacked Adrian Heath. Which there's been a couple of times over the years that I've thought Adrian Heath, his coat was on a sugary peg, as we say in Scotland. But
that's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Well, they responded in some style, although I don't know.
Was it against the Galaxy though? Right?
Yeah. It's only the Galaxy. But I don't know. Have you seen the other stuff that's happened in Minnesota? Officials behind the scenes are on strike. Workers are on strike.
No, like at the stadium or
the people that are in charge of doing the video at the games and all that kind of stuff went on strike because they've had a long-running, season-long... They're trying to get healthcare, basically. And someone... I read a tweet, and I don't know if this is an accurate tweet, but the tweet was from one of the officials of one of the unions. It would cost Minnesota United $12,000 to give all those workers healthcare for the year. Not each, but 12,000 combined.
That's like the scene in Ocean's 11. Do you remember that?
I haven't seen that.
What? You've never watched Ocean's 11?
No.
Oh, dude, you got to watch it.
Who did they beat in the final? Ocean's 11?
You're hilarious. There's a scene in Ocean's 11 where it's a heist. It's kind of like a heist movie. And there's a team of 11 people. And they send some of their people to a factory in Mexico to help with part of the heist or whatever, but then the factory goes on strike, and the guys who go down, they like join the strike and whatever, but then they call up and they're like, okay, so like how much do we got to pay to get this strike over? We can pay the factory to pay the workers or whatever, and the guy's like, I don't know, like $30,000 or whatever. And they're like, okay, and then there's like 400 workers, so 36 times 4. They're like, no, 36,000 all in. And they're like, oh yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Someone needs to get in touch with Minnesota then. So basically because of that, it's like, screw them. I hope they definitely don't get into the playoffs because that's absolutely shocking. Everyone should have healthcare benefits. It's just...
We need to watch Ocean's 11.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just one of those films I've just never got round to watching. I'm not a big action film.
It's not action. It's like a heist.
Action.
It's not. Oh, yeah.
Let's not get sidetracked. Anyway,
sorry.
Kansas City and Minnesota are outside the playoff spots just now with one game to go. So I think they could still get in, but it's tough to say. St. Louis wrapped up in first. LAFC are going to want to win that game against us because it would guarantee them second. Because right now they could still finish anywhere from second, third to fourth.
Yeah, see, that's part of the problem for the Whitecaps is I think you're going to see a highly motivated LAFC side.
Portland, they can't catch the Whitecaps, so the Whitecaps against Portland would not happen in the best of three series, but I mean, I guess it could happen later on in the playoffs. So our best chance for Cascadia thing is something maybe Seattle down the line. San Jose, that's another team I wouldn't mind facing in the playoffs, but they're in 8th just now, and I guess they are the team that Kansas City or Minnesota could leapfrog, depending on how things play out. San Jose's last game of the year, let me get that up. I didn't actually look at theirs. Let's see, who does San Jose play? San Jose, they're at home to Austin, so you've got to fancy them to win that. But right now, the play-in game is going to be San Jose and Dallas, but Dallas are going to get some points, so it could be Portland, San Jose. It's going to be interesting how this all shapes out in the West. The East as well is interesting. So what are you going to say?
So you're saying if you could choose right now, you'd want RSL?
Yeah, RSL or San Jose, but San Jose, that's not possible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, RSL's my first choice. Houston would be my second if we have the 2 home games. That's what I would be looking at. Yeah. Houston's in some good form just now, but they have only won 2 games on the road all year. I mean, I'm talking about Salt Lake. I've just actually looked. Salt Lake have won 7 games on the road this year. They've got the best away record in MLS. Wow. Second best to Orlando.
Which is weird because they are also a club that their place in the table is determined by their home record.
Yeah, and they've only got 6 home wins. They've got one of the worst in the West.
Yeah, that's really
okay.
weird.
Best of 3 series, 2 games in RSL. I'll take that. There we go. All sorted. Right, moving to the East. The Eastern standings, I don't know if you've looked at these, Zach. It is bizarre because sitting in the 9th and final playoff spot just now are DC United, but they're officially eliminated because they've played all 34 of their games. So because of who's
someone's
below
going to take
them,
points, yeah,
someone's going to go above them, and it's like crazy to see a team in the playoff spots with eliminated beside their name. And
they parted ways.
Yes, the fat granny shagger has gone off to pastures new.
I haven't looked it up yet. Is there any news about the rest of the coaching staff?
I didn't initially see it when I looked last night, so I haven't seen what's happened today. I would imagine that they could all go. I said last week on the show I would not be surprised if Robbo ends up in Toronto as assistant. But someone was saying to me they're not sure that Robbo and Herdman get on that well. I don't know about that. I've never heard anything to indicate that, but this person was quite adamant. So I don't know. But I imagine Robbo's out, as it's going to be a rebuild at DC. That has been it was mutually parting of the ways.
Well, I think it's more likely than not that he would go, but could you see him once again as going from assistant to the head coach?
No. I don't think he'll be head coach in MLS again anytime soon.
Oh, there you go.
I think if anything he'll go back overseas, probably get a Championship League One team in England. I know he fancied the Rangers job once before, and that's available at the moment. He should never take that. Anyone that is with either of the old firm teams, you have to just open up your whole life to a scrutiny that I don't think you would want, and just so much abuse from your own fans and the opposition fans. But yeah, in the East, Montreal are still hanging on, which is crazy considering they have a minus 15 goal difference.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're still there.
They've been like throwing it away because they were like higher up.
They were. They had been on a bad run, but then I PVR'd their game against Portland. They destroyed them. Aside from the 4-1 scoreline, like it was non-stop Montreal play. Not good for Portland as well after their recent good run of forms. Now, Montreal finished the season away to Columbus. So not the game you want, because you're going to face Wilfried Nancy. Columbus haven't booked a top 4 position yet. They could still finish outside the top 4. They could finish 3rd if they win that game against Montreal as well. So a lot of interesting positioning still to go in the East. Somebody that is not going to be there, though, Lionel Messi. But the bookmakers had them at 14-1 to win the MLS Cup.
I wonder how much the bookmakers made off of that.
Oh, you can really imagine folk just think, oh, this is a dead cert. After they're forming the League's Cup, oh, they're going to do this, without really looking at the table and the task that was ahead of them. They were still very much in it until the last 2 games, though. They've kind of thrown it away. So, I mean, obviously Messi was out for games, and that is something that has cost him. Did you hear some of the fallout from the game midweek?
Where Messi didn't play?
Yeah. And they had 63,000.
Oh, yeah.
Chicago and Miami.
I saw someone had posted somewhere the letter from the Chicago front office or whatever about, doesn't matter who's playing. We're glad you're coming. Well,
yeah, folk were wanting their money back because Messi wasn't playing.
Yeah,
this is going to happen all over the league now, because Americans are going to think, I bought a ticket to see Messi. I don't want to see Chicago play Miami without Messi. So folk were asking for money back. So Chicago said, oh, but you can get a discount on season tickets.
Season tickets, yes. That was in the letter. I think.
Which is also a slippery slope to start doing things like that as well. Like, don't appease these fans. If anyone is like that, screw them.
But if you're the Chicago Fire and you're getting,
63,000.
Well, you're getting, even if you get a small fraction of that, right?
Yeah.
As a season ticket holder, and you're giving them $50 or $100 discount on a season ticket, that's still probably a good thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, you weren't on the show last week when we talked about this. I take it you saw the quadrupling in prices of season tickets for Miami.
Yeah, yeah. That was weirdly reported, right? Because the one person was like, it was a mistake. So instead of going from 7,500 for his 2 tickets, it went to 15, not 30 or whatever. But yeah, it was kind of crazy.
They have still gone up quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
So it might not be quite fully as was reported, but they have definitely gone up.
It was something like 867 USD in the supporter.
Yeah. But I mean, this is what we said in the show last week. It's like, you're getting this money now. So what happens when Messi goes?
Oh, yeah.
Do you bring the prices back down? How do you win back the fans then that you have pissed off? Because obviously the Whitecaps have lost a ton of fans for other reasons over the years. And it's like they've struggled to get them back.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the structure for season tickets, yeah, you have to think internally that Miami has had these conversations. So whether that's, hey, we know we're going to charge more now because we have this, great player at the end of his career, and so we can charge more. But we know that when he retires, his contract's done, we're going to reduce our tickets and make them more in line with where we're at. Or the other part of the conversation is it like, the Galaxy sort of tried to do this, but also like, at Real Madrid, right? Where it was always like, okay, who is the next Galactico? Like, who's the next huge person we're going to bring in so that we can keep the tickets at a
but who would be that person? Because you're also then competing with the Saudi League right now as well.
Yeah,
Mbappe is the only person to me that I think could maybe be that kind of draw to replace him.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong. That'll be interesting to see when that happens, right? Whether it's a year or 2 or whatever it is from now. But yeah, this continue, and I mean the bigger thing is, and what the Saudi League has done at least a little bit with a few of the players is like, and MLS has also in its own way, is can you get some of these players in their 20s or whatever, like a Toronto did with Jovinko, who's obviously not as big of a name, but brought him
even
in
like
at
what they did in theory with Insigne, that was a huge game.
yeah, but
his
Insigne
age.
was already in his 30s, and Jovinko was like mid-20s or
Yeah,
whatever.
that's true. Yeah, he was a lot younger.
It was quite a bit different. Insigne was more in line with like what they did with the league did with golden balls.
Yeah.
Whereas this Messi thing is more in line with what they did with Ibrahimovic. Almost, right? Like in terms of age, at least.
I'd rather have the Scottish Messi.
It's
like, obviously part of me would love Miami to be here next year and we get Messi at BC Place. I also, the circus that would go around that, I don't know.
I thought you told me you fancied the circus.
Well, I used to think I would run away with a trapeze artist, but I liked how bendy they were. Anyway, that is pretty much it for the MLS chat. Exciting decision day ahead. A couple of games next weekend as the makeup games, and then decision day goes. October 21st, the Whitecaps game goes at 6 p.m. that day. And there's no UBC home games that weekend as well, so it's a nice weekend off as well. But that is it for the Whitecaps chat. That is it for the MLS chat. We're going to turn our attentions to the CPL next. It's been another exciting weekend there as well. And we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Martin Nash, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's our second song from our new Artist of the Month here at AFTN for the month of October from Italy. Gothic punk band They Die with a cover version of Ultravox's 1984 classic, Dancing with Tears in Their Eyes. That's taken from their debut album, 2021's Deviant Love. Scottish connection, of course. The lead singer of Ultravox was Midge. That's a fantastic Ultravox song. Good version there. Do you know who else will have been dancing with tears in their eyes on Friday night, Zach? Probably in front of you. Friend of the show, Martin Nash.
I said hi to Marty.
I was going to say, did you get a chance to congratulate him after the game?
No, I didn't get to talk to him after the game, but before the game, he was coming out. Said hello.
I couldn't get up to the game on Friday because I was heading back from UBC. I don't know if you watched it when you got back, but something happened that I don't really remember seeing very often. Martin Nash was smiling in his post-game interview. I can't remember him smiling very much. But he will have been cock-a-hoop as his York United side booked their place in the 2023 CPL playoffs with a 2-1 win over your Vancouver FC boys on Friday night. Let's just chat a little bit about that one. Have you watched the goals back?
Yeah, I have.
That game should have finished 1-0.
I haven't watched. There's one play I need to watch because I need to watch back because in the stadium it looked, as all the kids would say, clear and obvious to me. But
was it York second?
No, it was. It was near the end of the game. Your buddy there, Nico, the goalie, told the ball was coming in. Our player came for it, and how I saw it in the stadium, and there's a reason I'm not a referee, but The ball had
your
gone.
parents were married when they had you.
The ball was gone, and Nico totally goes through, totally just clears out
Oh,
Kanani, and
yes.
then lies there like he's been shot. And to me, like in a system where there's proper VAR, that's a penalty.
No, I don't think it was.
I don't know. I haven't watched it back, but
The issues I have is York's second goal, the ball was clearly out of play at least once, potentially twice.
on both, like on the end line or on the sideline and the end line?
No, just the sideline, I think.
The sideline one, so yeah, in the stadium it looked like it out and everyone was hauling for it to out.
Sideline and end line.
So the sideline one, as I watched that back,
it's not clear.
Yeah, like again, the camera angle doesn't help you much at all because you're like, oh, okay, maybe that could be like the ball's over there's no white part of the ball touching the white line, but it's the hole of the ball has not crossed the hole of the line. But it did seem like it was very, very much out. And then I mean, our goal was obviously offside.
Yeah.
I saw your tweet about it too. But yeah.
I wanted York to clinch the playoff spot. It would have been nice for Vancouver FC to finish the season with a win. But it's like, it wouldn't have mattered what teams were playing in that situation. My outrage would have been the same. That is so clearly offside. Like, there's other ones where you can talk about, maybe the referee was like listening to the linesman was listening to the kick of the ball and not watching when the ball was played, or it was so close it was really hard to tell. That he was so offside before the pass, and then when the pass is made, he's still clearly offside, and the linesman seems in line. I just do not know how he misses that.
Yeah, it's pretty atrocious. I agree with you. Egregious. Yeah, we talked before about how it's not so bad when there's a wrong decision made, whether it's with VAR or without VAR, and it doesn't ruin the game. But I think this is an example where the multiple situations, I think, ruin the result of the game for sure.
Well, I mean, that could have been costly for York as well. Like, if your lads had got an equaliser, who knows how things would then have played out for them.
Well, because Ottawa went on to win the next day, right? See, I would have preferred, if I'm obviously, I would have preferred Vancouver FC had won, and then Forge had beaten Ottawa. That's how I would have preferred things to have gone.
Well, I didn't want Forge to finish second. I wanted Halifax to finish second. And if they had scored one more goal against Valor, and they certainly had the chances to do that, then they would have finished second. It
was a great season. It was a great end to the season for the league as a whole. It was frustrating that the game had to be marred by more of that. I can't remember if I said this in the last time I was on, but the owners there was a big gathering in Halifax a number of weeks ago, and the what to do about officiating and VAR or VAR light, like VAR in the penalty box or whatever, is something that they are very actively pursuing for next year. They've had all kinds of conversations about what can be done and whatever, right? Including long term, like, do they set up their own version of like their own kind of like pro, right? Because like, again, in case people don't understand, it's not, the league does not set up, organize, evaluate, hold accountable the referees at all, right? It's the Canadian Soccer Association that does that. And it's not to add to the list of things that people can be angry at the Canadian Soccer Association for, but that's just the reality of how things work. But that's how it used to work for MLS and other American leagues in the US, where the USSF would be responsible for those things until they set up VAR. Or not VAR, sorry, pro. Right? So long term that is something that could happen in Canada as well, that the league could choose to kind of go that route to help professionalize referees even further. But it does go into the other conversations we've had about what is the CSA responsible for in terms of how they look after the game in the country, referee development and all that. is very much a part of their mandate and their responsibility and something they oversee. And they're doing it. Obviously, that needs to continue to grow in line with the growth of the professional, currently the professional men's league, and soon to be a professional women's league in our country.
Yeah, I mean, it has to improve, and it's like, I know it's a tough job, and I know, because someone had messaged me on Twitter about it as well, it's like, it's a tough job being a linesman, and it is, because you have to be looking at so many things.
Oh, yeah.
That one just seems so bad.
Yeah.
That I don't think you can make any excuse for it. But I mean, it was a great final weekend. York got that 5th playoff spot with that 2-1 win. Halifax looked like they could maybe finish second, but they could only beat Valor 1-0. And it's crazy that you go all the way to the end and you lose a potential, for now, depending on what happens in the playoffs, Champions Cup spot by 1 goal over the season. So, I mean, that's a killer. Forge had got beat by 1-0 by Ottawa. If they'd got beat 2-0 or Halifax had won 2-0, it would have been Halifax who would have been second. Pacific, though, in free fall, dropped to 4th after a 3-0 loss at Cavalry, and they just looked so second best to Cavalry in that one. It was a good performance by a Cavalry side, with just wanting to entertain a big crowd. I think over 4,600 there at Spruce Meadows. Check out Scott Strasser's piece on AFTN as well. Fantastic photo you got of the celebration as well. But basically, it sets up the playoffs. There is a 4th v 5th battle at Starlight Stadium on Wednesday night, 7 o'clock kickoff. Pacific host York. The winner playing Halifax in Halifax on Saturday morning. That's a big trip with a very short turnaround for both those teams.
Yep.
Don't know why the game's not on Tuesday.
Yeah. I wonder if there is some reason for that.
Yeah, it could be a stadium clash, maybe, or I hope it's not for TV, because that would be bad, because that is a lot to ask either of those teams, especially York. If you've come to Vancouver, you've gone back to Ontario, you're over to the island, then you might have to fly straight to Halifax. That's just...
Yeah, I would be surprised if it was for Media Pro. That would be kind of weird. I do know
fancy
that
York to maybe do it as well. Just form that both are in. Anyway,
I do know that league officials were at Starlight Stadium on the was it September 30th game for when Vancouver was there, because they were just doing some evaluating and checking and in potential preparation in case the final could have been on the island.
That was a wasted trip for them then.
Well, that was not the only thing that they were doing, but that was one of the things that they were just making sure, checking a few things, and yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the final will not be there now.
I mean, we'll know by Saturday evening where it's going to be, because with the new kind of page format, curling-esque format that they've got this year, first place second from the regular season, Cavalry will host Forge on Saturday afternoon, 2 o'clock Pacific time kickoff, for the right to host the championship game. So if Cavalry win it, it's going to be on Sunday the 29th, which I kind of hope it is, because I might be able to go through to that one. The college playoffs in Canada West are a bit weird this year, but I think I'm free on the 29th, but I definitely wouldn't be on the 28th, which if Forge win, it would be the 28th. So if Cavalry win, they're in the championship game. If Forge win, they're in the championship game. If Forge, or whoever loses that one, then hosts a semi-final meeting with, the winner of the Halifax
and the
York stroke Pacific game. Yeah. I'm confusing myself here. So a lot of exciting football to come this month. So if you're thinking, I'd like to see it, get One Soccer for a month. If you're on Telus, you can get for $5. Add it in, watch it, get those games. It'll be a fun end to the season for sure. Vancouver FC, sadly, their inaugural season is finished, and it finished with a loss. What we're going to do next week, because the Whitecaps aren't playing, we'll kind of have a end of season roundup for Vancouver FC. We'll obviously talk Whitecaps, MLS and other stuff as well, but we'll kind of delve into a little bit for VFC. But initial thoughts, season over, Zach, you kind of touched on it at the start, but you were given thanks. But just how do you look back on this first year?
Yeah, I mean, it was a year of, first, a new beginning, a fresh start. It was a year of growth. Like, I think the squad wasn't at the level that everyone would have wanted to be for a number of reasons, and maybe we'll talk about those next week. But
we certainly will.
But I don't know how much detail. Maybe we've talked about some of this before. But anyways, it was great to see changes made midway through the season to strengthen the squad, and then to see the side be, from that point on, virtually every game kind of competitive. The first 2 or 3 or 4 games, whatever, were great, but after that, obviously, there was the squad just wasn't at the level it needed to be, and so a number of those players aren't at clubs anymore.
And I think it's frustrating because you saw the turnaround. Yeah, and it's impossible not to say, "Oh, what if?" I mean, there was some really good mid-season additions as well. That it's like, just if they'd been there the whole year, what kind of difference could they make? I think it's clear the MVP. I say it's clear for me. Callum Irvin for Vancouver FC was just phenomenal. And if it wasn't for him, things could have got a lot worse in the early going.
Yeah. I mean, he had a few moments I think he'd want back later in the season, but in general, I'd agree with you. He was huge.
Yeah, he'd be my first choice, then probably Gabby Bitar.
Yeah, Gabby in the second half, free of injury and with a better complement of players around him was, I mean, as the supporters saying, he was on fire.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting. I mean, it was a career year for him too, right? He scored like most goals he's scored in the league in a season, and he was so instrumental and so vital. I think the other thing too is it wasn't even just the results. You could just see it was just the quality of play too. Like even in this loss to York, there was moments where you're just like, oh, like the way we're playing. Like I think it was in the highlights, Michael. So you've seen this, but like there was that moment.
I watched the game.
Oh, you watched the whole game?
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I missed the first 15 minutes or so, and then
in the second half, as we were trying to equalize, there was that moment where Hundal was coming in on goal and did like a drag back for, I think it was Bitar. I can't remember if it was Bitar or not, but he did this beautiful like drag back, like almost like back heel to the open player, and the I forget which York defender was. York defender made a really good block, but like just the build up to that play, and then that kind of beautiful touch from Hundal was just like it was like it was just there was some quality moments, and so there was more and more of those as the season went on, and I think can't underestimate. I think we were talking about this maybe the other day on the call, but the pre-match call, but a player like Renan Garcia. Yeah, I know some people made fun of that. Oh, this is this old man.
Yeah, but he's been. But I hope he's back next year. I think he's been the best mid-season addition.
I'd be surprised if he wasn't.
Yeah. But we won't get into too much more. We'll save that for next week. The season might be over, but the build for next year starts now. So we're on the pre-game call for it. So I asked Afshin what next year's going to kind of look like, or basically from now on, what does the end of this season onwards look like in the coming weeks and months of this year and into 2024? Here's VFC head coach Afshin Gopi. The last game of the season. What would you like, or what are your plans for the next couple of weeks? Are you wanting to try and keep the group together for as long as you contractually can? Are you wanting to try and have maybe a winter of having some trials of local guys with an early look ahead to next year?
I think great question. We want to give the players a short period off until October 15th, so they can have Thanksgiving with their families. And then beginning on October 16th through the end of October, we're going to bring the group back together. We bring some test players into the group and create game situations so we can look at our possibilities for next season. Then in November and December and early January, we are trying to place players at various professional clubs around the world to give them meaningful training sessions in a team environment. So when they come back, starting January 15th for local players and mid-February for our full squad, that everybody does not have this long period of just pause, which I think is not good for players. They basically 5 months without playing meaningful games is too long. I believe only maybe 6 weeks in total per season the players should be off, and they need to be training and playing on a regular basis. So we are trying to create different situations for different players, and hopefully they come back next year fully fit and ready to go.
I heard you talking a little bit about what's in store for the players and what would be ideal for them. What can you share a little bit what your off season is going to look like after the October training stint? What does it look for you in terms of recruiting or preparing for next year?
I'm going to be very busy because obviously we are not satisfied with how we end in the table in the season, and our goal is to create a team that can challenge not only the playoffs but beyond. And so we need to find several key players in certain positions to augment the team, the depth of the team, and also the possibilities of the team to play the kind of football that I'm really interested to play, that I believe can be very attractive and can be exciting for fans in Canadian football. So I'm going to be busy immediately after the 6th, meeting with ownership, talking about various strategies and in not only placing our players in various clubs around the world for training experiences and training and playing experiences, but also identifying the right players from the local market and international market that can make our team better.
So Afshin there revealing he's given them the week off to enjoy Thanksgiving, just have a week of relaxation, then going to get them in for the last 2 weeks off the month, have some training, probably some inter-squad games, going to bring in some local talent, going to evaluate them with a look to next year, maybe some other players as well coming in, which is great, starting that now. The Whitecaps have done that in the past. We'll remember Martin Rennie doing it when he took over way back in the day, at the end of the season. And then they hope to get some of the players, whether it's just for training, maybe even playing some minutes as well, but like placed at clubs around the world to be in training environments, be in competitive environments, keep them fresh and hungry, and then get the local players in mid-January, then the rest of the players in end of January. So it's going to start fairly early next year. I like what I'm hearing, and by the sounds of it, if anyone was having any doubts, Afshin is back as head coach next year. Or if not, he's making a lot of plans and he's going to be in for a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, no, I'd be surprised if he wasn't. Yeah, I think you'll see players like, for example, like a TJ Dahid will have at least one training stint at some club with, that people in the stewards of the club have connections to. And
well, I know they had players out at Huddersfield last pre-season, and there was lots of talk because Huddersfield were linked with a Canadian or American buyer, and folk wondered if it was maybe 6-5 Sports were going to buy Huddersfield, but that hasn't come to fruition. But
I don't know that they were looking at Huddersfield as far as I'm aware.
It would be good to get that experience, and who knows, you impress, the guy signs, you get a transfer fee as well, which is, for these young guys in particular, all it's about. I know there's some local players that are coming in for this 2-week trial as well, so looking forward to seeing how they do. Might nip out to the odd training session, pick up some black pudding from Black Pudding Imports along the way, which incidentally for other stuff, I know everything's gone up in price, so expensive. Went there the other week and stuff is like way
that stuff was all expensive. That stuff was all expensive to begin with.
It's even the black pudding's gone up by about $5. It's like crazy. But one of the players that will be interesting to see where his future lies came in on loan from the Whitecaps, Vasco Fry.
Yeah.
And impressed, was a bit frustrated maybe in some games as well. So we got a chance to chat to Vasco before the York game, just to ask how he's found his time in the CPL and would he be open to coming back next year. Here's Vasco Fry. Hey Vasco, how you doing?
Hello.
Just wanted to talk about your kind of journey this season, obviously starting off with WFC 2. When did you know that this move to VFC was kind of on the cards? Were you pushing for something like that? And how have you found the level of play between CPL and MLS Next Pro?
Yeah, it was mid-July. I saw the opportunity to come here to VFC. I was still in, like you said, VFC 2, Whitecaps 2, and then I said, why not? CPL is getting better, it's growing. Playing in a first team environment, it's gonna help me, and it sure did. And then comparing CPL with MLS Next Pro, I would say it's more physical. Of course, MLS Next Pro has younger guys, which are developing. CPL is a more mature, grown men that actually are fully developed. And then I think the speed of play it's a bit faster. I feel it's faster compared to MLS Next Pro once again because the kids in Next Pro are still developing, and they need to get that speed of play so they can hopefully get to the first team. No.
So you scored last year with WFC 2 and then you've now got your first CPL goal. You seem to really enjoy that. What was that experience like, scoring in a big derby day, and just your celebrations towards the fans were something I'm sure a lot of the fans will remember for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, just growing up in South America, the derbies are an important thing for us. I think that's what really motivated me during the game, and like really showed what my celebration showed was what I felt. So it was pure joy, and very happy to actually score my first goal in a derby.
Yeah, Vasco, I just wondered if you could talk about how you enjoyed playing in North America opposed to what you were used to growing up in Lima.
It's very different actually. When I first came here, in South America, things are more like you're more focused on the ball, on playing. When I first came here, I came to Whitecaps. It was a lot of gym, a lot of physical stuff, which I wasn't used to. I kind of struggled for a bit, but then I learned that if I want to play in North America, I have to integrate those parts into my game, and I felt I've done it well. I've developed in those aspects, and I still try to conserve my skills I learned in South America with the ball, but integrating both South America and North America made me a better player.
I just wonder if you could speak to what it's been like to play with Renan Garcia a lot. You've been partnered a lot together in midfield. Yeah. What you've learned from him and what that's been like for you.
Nah, it's an amazing guy, and he's played everywhere. He's a very experienced guy, so I try to learn from him every day. Not only like being around him off the field too. He shares a lot of experiences, situations that can happen during the game. So I think just being around him, not only on the field, helps me a lot, and definitely a lot of the other guys.
What's your plans, Vasco, then, for the rest of the year? Obviously, the VFC are hoping to get some guys in. Are you able to stay with them? Are you kind of like open to all options for next season?
I'm on loan here till October 31st. So we haven't decided yet. I still got to report to the Whitecaps till December 31st. So I just gotta head back and see the options for next year.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
Vasco Fry, keeping all the options open. He is on loan to the end of October, so he'll be part of this 2 weeks training. I mean, you've got to think if they say to him, look, we want to build the midfield around you and Renan next year. Would love you back. Are the Whitecaps going to give him an MLS deal? Probably not. I think for him it makes sense to stay there. Of course, there'll be other options available as well. But, I mean, would you welcome Vasco back next year?
Yeah, his deal's just MLS Next Pro.
Yeah.
Just WS2. I was reading somewhere.
He got one call-up this year.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's
so
what I'm
he
thinking.
He did get an MLS call-up. So he's in their mind.
Right.
I mean, I'd heard rumours about Vasco at the end of last year that the Whitecaps had initially not re-signed him. And everyone was saying, oh, we hear Vasco Fry's going to join Vancouver FC. And then the Whitecaps re-signed him. But then he ends up at Vancouver FC after all. So I think they would welcome him back. I was interested in him hearing just what he's learned from playing beside Renan Garcia as well.
Yeah.
That's good development for a player.
I really thought he was a solid addition. I think the midfield with him, Garcia, and Elliot Simons gave a good, solid base for the team to build off, both going forward and defensively. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. Whatever happens with Vasco Fry, I think, for a club that's played one season, I think he will be fondly remembered for a winning goal away to Pacific FC with a quality strike.
And talked about it there as well. And I mean, as a young player, those are the moments, like when you hang your boots up, those are the ones that I've scored a winner in a derby.
Yeah,
ran over to the fans.
And he celebrated it it was very good.
Obviously, you weren't on the show last week, so we'll just round off this part. How was that day for you? Because I had a couple of folks message me going, oh, so disappointed Zach wasn't on. I wanted to hear what he thought about that.
No, it was great, dude. It was so good. It was we were one section over this time.
Yeah, you were right in the end in the shitty view.
Yeah, no, but that's where the away fans should be, right?
True.
So it was good. It was good. We were a little bit smaller. Like last time I think we were 80. This time we were more like 50, 60.
That's still not bad.
But no, it was good.
Holiday weekend. It's nightmare travel.
Yeah, people sang. There was a roof.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very good. It was really good.
What are you going to do with yourself now then? You've got all this time in your hands to next season. More podcasts.
Yes, more podcasts, Michael.
Well, we'll put out 2 a week.
I mean, if I'm honest, this summer's been a little more busy than I anticipated or than normal, and this fall has been extremely more busy than normal. So I haven't had as much time for football stuff as I would like. It's been great to be part of a community where there are other people who want to do heavy lifting and want to make things happen. So like I talked at the beginning of the show, that display was something that people really wanted to do and wanted to make happen. And if you don't have people who are willing to make things happen, like these things happen because there's people determined to make them happen. Right?
Yeah, I think sometimes others don't really appreciate how much work goes into tifos. Even two sticks, all that's there's a lot of work, there's a lot of effort, there's a lot of painting, there's a lot of manpower, there's the planning, and folk are like, oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you have pulleys? It's a lot of work.
Yeah. So like I said, this has been an extremely full season for me with work, and so it's been great to see lots of people do lots of awesome stuff.
Hey, maybe you'll have time now that we can do some of our video of football board games.
See, we'll talk more on the.
We'll talk a little bit more next week about VFC.
It's been a great year, and I'm thankful for the community that's been kind of that's come around things, both of people who I've known for a long time and people who I just met this year, and looking forward to seeing that continue to grow. And if you want to be involved, get in touch.
No, I'm fine.
No, not you.
No, definitely do.
Aren't you? Didn't you tell me you're a fair weather fan?
I'm a very fair weather fan. If the weather's fair, I will turn out. Anyway, that is it for the CPL chat. We've got one more part to go. We're talking about from one dark side to the other FIFA. And we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Carl Valentine. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's former Artist of the Month here at AFTN, Moscow Death Brigade. They're back with a new song featuring Eliza Dixon and Los Fastidious. That is Ruder Than Croc. It's their new single. Excellent stuff from the band that I was worried about, because they have been very anti-government, anti-Putin in their comments and songs and stuff. And when the war started in Ukraine, they disappeared from social media. And you worry when things like that happen for such artists. But they're back with a bang. Fantastic new single. Check that out in all the usual places. Want to talk a little bit FIFA World Cup in this part. And it's not 2026. We're going to look even further ahead to 2030. And 2034, because there was an announcement this week, Zach. There's only been one bid for the 2030 World Cup, so it has gone to Spain, Portugal and Morocco. So the tournament is going to be played in Europe and Africa, and I've got to say I quite like them as hosts. It's a nice mix. They're fairly close to each other. Morocco obviously did well at the last World Cup. So, World Cup, 3 countries, 2 continents. There we go. What? 6 countries and 3 continents?
They're like rabbits, Michael. You leave them alone and they multiply.
Yeah. Well, at least, thankfully, they've got all the countries that's hosting really close to each other. Yes. Being facetious, because it was announced that Uruguay, Argentina and Paraguay will also host World Cup matches in 2030. Now, I've been very adamant for many years that the 2030 World Cup should be in Uruguay, at least.
Yeah, that
whether it's joint with Argentina. There had been talk it was going to be a Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay bid, and I was fully supportive of that. And I think they should have got it. This is a compromise to placate people like me by having 3 matches played in South America. I'm sure everyone knows, but if you don't, the very first World Cup was played in Uruguay, and the very first match will be played in the famous Montevideo Stadium.
If you remember, a long time ago we talked about this. I would prefer to have only been in Uruguay, but the more I thought about, the Argentina co-hosting makes sense logistically,
for 48
and financially,
teams, yeah,
and for the added burden.
Well, I'm assuming 48. Who knows by 2030?
It could be all teams.
It could be 96. Every single country in the world.
Yeah, but that would have been nicer.
Caledonia.
That would have been nicer. I really hope Canada does not have to play games in Morocco.
Well, there's a lot about this. Now, I mean, it is a compromise, and I like that there's going to be a nod and special events and a ceremony in Uruguay celebrating that historic first tournament from 1930. That has been done right. What I don't like is each of those three countries, Paraguay, Argentina, Uruguay, will be hosting one match.
Yeah.
One group game. Which means the second group game for each of those groups is going to be on the other side of the world. Logistically, for fans, that's just awful.
Well, then the other thing, my ground hopping friends from around the world right away messaged and said, how angry they were at this.
Yeah. At random, let's just say Australia's playing Uruguay in the first match, and then they're going to play some other team in Spain. That is some hell of a travel. It's ridiculous.
Well, the other thing you said to me is that means what 1/8 of the teams are getting in as hosts.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Like, that's quite nuts as well. Because it also means you're going to get some South American teams that haven't been in the World Cup for a long time that's going to get in.
Yeah.
For me, the simpler way around it would have been you have half the group games played in South America, half in Spain, Portugal, Morocco, and then the rest of the tournaments played in Spain, Portugal, Morocco.
Yeah, that could have been interesting.
I just think that would have made a lot more sense. I mean, or are they going to rig it so it's like CONCACAF and CONMEBOL teams will be playing in those three games? If so, I hope Canada get Paraguay.
Yeah. Well, that's a long time away, Michael. So
yeah, that's true.
Paraguay could be on a. But no, yeah, it's all shades of awkward, right?
It's very weird, and it also, and again, I like this. And I don't like this. It seems to have removed the whole voting aspect of who's hosts. Now, that's great because of all the stigma and the scandals and bribes and allegations of bribes and everything else that's come out over the years. But this is all done behind closed doors, and it's like, this has been the only countries that's bid for it. It's like, oh, really? For the historic 100th World Cup, you've only had that one bid.
Yeah. But did they geo-block this bid? Like, was it supposed to be in Europe or Africa?
It was open. There was obviously some places that couldn't have it. For 2034, it can only be Asian/Eurasian countries that can bid for it. So a lot of folk were expecting Australia to put a bid in, maybe with New Zealand again. But the Saudis appear to be the favourites for 2034.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we won't get too much into this. There's a lot that you can talk about it, and it's obviously been a long show already. But I always keep thinking about something that you said to me when you came back from Qatar. So you had said that one of the reasons that you had wanted to go, aside from obviously Canada being there, was it was a chance to experience something that wouldn't happen again, and that you could see so many games in a day over the whole tournament in such close proximity to each other. And I mean, from that side of things, the Qatar World Cup was some spectacle for that. I know folk that's gone, I've spoken to a couple of folk, and they loved that aspect of it. Could happen again, I guess, with Saudi, if they were the only country to bid and host it.
Would they spread it out, though? Or would it be in, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, is it Riyadh?
Yeah, Riyadh's the capital. I mean, it would be spread out, so it wouldn't be as close-knit as Qatar, because it's a bigger country. But, I mean, it's a chance. It does feel that single country hosting is a thing of the past.
Yeah, unless you're a big oil state who can spend all kinds of money. Yeah.
I mean, 2030 is such a long way away, and so much can happen, and they can still change things. Just like for 2026, it was going to be groups of 3, and then it got changed to groups of 4. So, I mean, you could find that there's going to be some more games played in South America than they're saying if people kick up a fuss about the travel. Everyone's trying to think of the climate and keeping flying down, never mind anything else. You don't want folk flying all over the place for things like that as well. Spain and Portugal are going to be very passionate hosts. Morocco is going to really embrace it as well. I know you weren't huge fans of the Moroccan fans from your time in Qatar, but I think it's a great thing for that country to get this.
Oh, Morocco! I mean, they lost to the North American bid, right?
Yeah.
So they've been wanting to host for a while. It'll be crazy intense there. It'll be like the.
You don't want to be the opposition team playing Morocco in Morocco.
You do not. You do not. It'll be just like when a tournament's in Europe or South America. Like it's that level. Which
I look forward to Scotland getting drawn against them.
Yeah, and so when I said I don't want Canada to play them, it's because it'll be very difficult, and two, I would like to be there, but I also have some not so fond memories of people wanting to cause me physically harm in the stadium. Did I tell you that? I told you this story, right?
Yeah. This time you didn't hit them with a flag.
No, I did. That was the same day, actually. That was the same.
Oh, wow. That was an interesting day for you.
Yeah. Well, no, because...
Remember, Football Violence Awareness Month is not until March.
Because remember, I can't remember how much of this we talked about on the show, but...
They came into the Canadian section.
The hosts would allow, after kickoff, they would allow people in to use empty seats, which I don't think there were too many empty seats in that game. But yeah, so some dude just came and sat in with the Canadian families and section, sitting in. And so when they scored, there's this one dude in this sea of Canada red celebrating the goal, in kind of in their face. So I went to security and was like, you got to move this person. And then they moved them, and then they said, you can't let people sit here. And the security guard said to me, what can I do? They've opened the gate. I'm like, yeah, don't let them sit here. But the big problem was at the end, because we were on the tunnel side, you knew everyone was going to try and get to the tunnel to see the players. So I went down and stood, and I blocked people from going through all these Moroccan fans from going through the Canadian parents and whatever. And they were not happy about that. They were threatening violence and whatever, and yeah, it was interesting.
Well, you live to tell the tale.
Yeah, this time.
Yes, maybe not in 2030. But I mean, it's an interesting one. I don't mind, as I say, Spain, Portugal, Morocco. I think it's a great bid for any World Cup. I would have liked this one in South America. I just think it would have been good as well. Australia deserve it, and I think they showed at the Women's World Cup what a good tournament they can put on. I do wonder if the time difference really goes against them drastically as well. That it's not great for TV, so they may never get that. But we of course have 2026 to look forward to sooner rather than later. Let us know your thoughts on the 2030 World Cup though, and it just caused so much kind of incredulity when it came out midweek. I think it was Wednesday it had come out, and folk are like, no, this can't be true. And it's like, what? Just the fact that it's on 6 continents, and Infantino's saying it's all about uniting the world because we're playing across the world and we're uniting Europe and Africa and everything like that. And I get it from that side of things. Could make some interesting visa issues as well, I guess. But yeah, let us know your thoughts as usual. AFTN Canada on Twitter, aftncanada@hotmail.com. I mentioned Australia and the Women's World Cup, which was a big success over the summer. I'm going to finish this show with this episode's wavelength, and I wish I had discovered this song, this EP, I wish I had discovered during the Women's World Cup, because it was brought out for the Women's World Cup. It's from an Australian band from Wollongong, and they brought out a 4-track EP called Hands Up. It's 4 songs on the EP, all Women's World Cup themed. There's actually a song on it about Megan Rapinoe, which would have been very fitting to play since she had her big retiral game in Seattle on Friday night. But I hate Megan Rapinoe, so I'm not playing that song. What I have gone for, though...
I support your decision, Michael.
Yeah, I just never liked her. So I'll probably play 2 of these 4 songs over the course of Wavelength, because there's 2 absolute crackers on it. This is the opening track. It's a song about Australian midfielder Steph Catley, who scored the last goal for Australia against Canada in the group game that, of course, knocked Canada out. She's played in Melbourne, she's played in the NWSL with Portland, Orlando, with Rain. Now she's with Arsenal. This is the band called The Curls, and their song, Everybody Loves Steph Catley. The Curls there. Everybody loves Steph Catley. That'll be in your heads this week. That is it for the show. It's been another long one. Just imagine how long it would have been if we had got our feature interviews, Zach.
It's been crazy long.
Yeah. Might have had to cut some bits out.
Isn't it featured interviews?
Well, yes, but I'd like to just do one in each show. But I would have had one for next week, but that hasn't happened. Just before we go, though, any final thoughts from you? Anything funny caught your eye this week?
Oh, I just want to hold my hand. I got it wrong. I watched the replay on that. That was not Nico won the ball, but then he did dive after, and then Kiani embarrassed himself. I think by
diving as well. It was like a finger poke that didn't really connect with him, and he went down clutching his face.
Yeah, it was bad on both ends. So you're right. I think you're right. If there was proper officiating, we might have ended a 1-0 game.
Yeah, but I'm pleased for York, pleased for Nashi. There's a fun clip that I don't think I retweeted this. There was a mascot fight in France, and one of the mascots got carted away in a stretcher.
Like small children who walk out with the players?
Oh no, they were like big adults, like the furry mascots.
Yeah.
Because one tackled the other and his head came off and his head crashed off. I think he went off with a concussion.
That's crazy.
Oh no, I know what I tweeted out this week. It was a call from a women's game in England.
Oh,
and it was knobs from distance straight down the keeper's throat.
That's
fantastic call. I just hope I can live up to a commentary call like that one day when I'm doing my games.
That was not on purpose, obviously.
I don't think so. It was a female commentator as well that was
right. I can see you doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, we'll be back with another episode soon. Give us a follow on Twitter, AFTN Canada. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. We really want to get that to 1,000 so we can get monetized. We've been like slowly plodding along. We're just over the 600 mark, so we'll have some VMSL videos up over the coming weeks and stuff. I've got big plans for next year for doing more videos. I know I've said that every year for about the last 3 years. I've got a lot of big plans for next year, so you want to make sure you're a part of that. And if you enjoy the podcast, give us a nice review or a star rating on wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. If you're still listening to that, have a good Thanksgiving week. We'll be back next weekend with another fun-filled show. Until then, as always, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon, the Caps. Playoff bound, baby.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.
10 minutes left, yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers, away from the numbers.